Today we're cooking up the legendary chopped cheese, a New York icon, but we're not trying to be 100% authentic here. Sorry New Yorkers, we're just honoring the spirit while making it juicy, cheesy, and perfect for cast iron at home. Some say it's better than a Philly cheesesteak, but I don't want to start that fight this early in the video. Poor choices, y'all. Alright, let's start by mixing up our sauce, because no chopped cheese is complete without something creamy and tangy to tie it all together. And we're not just going to go straight up ketchup and mayo like some bodegas do, we're going to jazz it up. So into the bowl goes 3 tablespoons of mayo, 1.5 tablespoons of ketchup, a teaspoon of mustard, a teaspoon of hot sauce, half a teaspoon each of smoked paprika and garlic powder, a little brown sugar for balance, a pinch of black pepper, and a splash of dill pickle juice to cut through all that richness. Mix that smooth and let it chill in the fridge. And the reason for that is because cold sauces just taste more balanced. It gives the flavors time to marry, so it's not just ketchup with mayo, it's a real spread that makes this sandwich drip worthy. Now we move to the skillet. Cast iron loves patience, so we're going to give it like a solid 5 minutes over medium-high heat until it's ripping hot before the beef touches down. Also, before the beef hits the pan, we need a fat, and here's why. Fat isn't just calories, it's a cooking medium. It prevents sticking, it transfers heat evenly, and it builds flavor. So here are your options. You can go with a neutral oil like canola, avocado, or grapeseed. These are great because they have high smoke points and won't interfere with the flavor of the beef. You can go with butter, which adds a nutty richness, but it will burn fast on its own. So if you're going to use butter, you want to cut it with a neutral oil to raise the smoke point. That way you get the flavor and safety at high heat. Olive oil is not really ideal here. Its smoke point is lower, so in a ripping hot skillet like this, it can burn and leave a bitter taste. Save the olive oil for like medium heat cooking or finishing. And you definitely want to avoid things like coconut oil or anything sweet laning. Somebody at home is going to grab it just because it's in the cabinet, but trust me, coconut scented chopped cheese is not the flavor combo you want. As for me, I'm using beef tallow. It's my favorite here because it deepens the beef flavor and gives you that steakhouse richness. So for each sandwich, I'm using about a half pound of 80-20 ground beef, and we're just going to shape that into one loose ball each. And loose is key. If you pack it too tight, the meat will get dense and tough. So leave those little air pockets in there because they trap juice as it cooks. And that's why chopped cheese stays moist instead of drying out. Now we're going to drop that beef ball into the hot skillet and smash it flat with your spatula. The harder you smash, the more surface contact you get, and that means more crust, which is pure flavor. As for seasoning, we're going to go a little authentic here. You could use an all-purpose seasoning, but I'm just going to use this adobo seasoning. It's a one-stop shop, it's salty, it's garlicky, it makes beef taste beefier. We're also going to hit it with some Worcestershire sauce. That's liquid umami that brings depth and tang, and a little bit of hot sauce, just a few dashes, not to make it spicy, but just to add a smoky brightness that cuts through all the richness. We're cutting through a lot of rich things in this recipe. But that's pretty much it. 1 beef ball, 3 seasonings, maximum flavor. And right after you season the beef, it's time for the onion blanket. For one sandwich, we're going to use about 1/4 of a small yellow onion finely diced. And we're going to scatter it evenly right on top of the smashed beef patty while the bottom is searing. And what happens here is the onions closest to the skillet are going to caramelize and then render fat, and they're going to turn sweet and golden. And to be clear, we're talking about a different kind of sweet versus the coconut oil that I mentioned earlier. And the onions that are sitting on top steam in the beef, infusing it with that signature chopped cheese flavor. And this is why chopped cheese hits different from just a burger patty. You're not just cooking onions on the side, you're marrying them into the meat itself so they become one bite. We're gonna let this go for about 2 to 3 minutes untouched so the beef crust forms and the onions soften. We're gonna hit it with a little more adobo seasoning because we want flavor in layers. If you only season the outside, that first bite is gonna be super flavorful, but then the inside is just gonna taste flat. And so layering like this ensures that every single bite, from the crusty bits to the juicy middle, is seasoned just right. And now for the cheat code that makes this chopped cheese extra juicy, the beef broth drizzle. We're gonna splash in 1 to 2 tablespoons of beef broth right into the skillet. And I clearly was too busy looking at the camera and poured in way too much, but it's all good because it's going to evaporate. And if you're wondering why we use the broth, it's going to steam and keep the meat moist so it never dries out. It's also going to help scrape up the fond. It's just those caramelized brown bits stuck to the skillet, and that pulls all that flavor back into the beef. Think of it like a mini au jus happening right in the pan, and this step alone will separate your chopped cheese from the corner deli version. And then we'll come back and chop it all together. So after the beef is seared for a couple of minutes and the onions have started to caramelize, we're going to take our spatula or bench scraper or whatever you got and break that patty down into medium chunks. And not too fine. We don't want taco meat. We just want hearty, juicy pieces that still have some texture. And now that the beef is juicy and full of flavor, it's time to crown it with cheese. So we're going to shape the meat into a sandwich-sized mound, not too flat, not too tall, just enough to match the footprint of your bread. And then we're going to lay down 2 to 3 slices of white American cheese right on top. White American is the classic move here. It's smooth, it's creamy, and it's made to fuse right into the beef. But you've got options if you want to play. there's provolone, there's cheddar, there's pepper jack, whatever your heart desires. And to lock it all in, we're gonna add a splash of water to the skillet, but this time not on the sandwich, not on the cheese, but right next to the beef. And then we're gonna cover it with a lid or heat-proof bowl. And in about 30 to 45 seconds, you'll get that perfect steam melt where the cheese isn't just sitting on top, it's dripping right into the meat and onions. Give it another chopping if you want to, otherwise it's time to put this beast together. So we're gonna start with the bread. If you have some hoagie rolls, go for it. I'm using this sourdough sandwich bread here. It's already crusty on the outside, so I'm not gonna toast it on the inside because that crust gives me the crunch I want without some extra steps. But let's get ready to build. So we're gonna start by spreading that sauce on both parts of the bread. Then we're gonna add in a bed of shredded iceberg lettuce for crunch. Then we're gonna lay down some tomato slices and make sure you salt and pepper those tomato slices. That's just some extra flavor you can get there. Drop on a few dill pickles for a briny balance. And finally, scoop that cheesy beef and onion pile straight from the skillet onto the bread. If you're feeling fat like me, maybe you want to top it with a second slice of cheese. Give it a gentle press so the juices mingle and you've got yourself a proper chopped cheese. Now here's a little bodega folklore. Some people swear the real secret is to wrap your chopped cheese in foil or paper and let it just sit for like 2 to 3 minutes before eating. The steam helps everything just kind of marry together, the sauce soaks into the bread, the cheese fuses deeper into the beef, and the flavors really settle. Is it fact or myth? Honestly, both. If you like your sandwich messier, juicier, and almost glued together by flavor, that little rest is worth trying. If you want it crisp and fresh, eat it right away. There's no wrong choice, it just depends on how patient you are. And that, my friends, is a delicious complete meal. You've got vegetables, you've got meat. My trainer would be happy. Hey everybody, this is Poor Choices Kitchen. If you're vibing with this recipe, hit up the Patreon. It's just $1 a month and helps keep the lights on and the beef broth flowing. Or you can check out the YouTube memberships for $2.99 if you want to kick in a little bit more. So once again, appreciate your eyes and drop me a comment and tell me, do you think the chopped cheese is better than the Philly cheesesteak? Or did I just start a fight I can't finish?